You're here early. Sometimes it's good to be early. But our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just gotta toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the people's podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Right.
Live from
Somewhere.
it's
Dillon.
Good whatever to you whenever you are listening to this episode of Cohost Auditions. I am your co-host, Dillon. This is my self-taped audition to be a part of a show that's already monetized because money, 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 money. So today we have got Mutahar on deck as our host, and he has been making a lot of waves. I first became familiar with him with his investigation onto the completionist. I did that episode about a month ago, my own on the completionist, and that was a runaway hit. And thank you all who are sticking around for from the Charlotte Dubray episode. That was a surprise hit. I had a commenter who gave it a chance, some commenters who absolutely did not give it a chance, just looked at the thumbnail and said, "How dare you?" When, in fact, I became a fan of Charlotte Dubray. Some just said, "You are clout chasing. How dare you clout chase?" And that is not true. I was clout chasing on the Chris Jericho episode, and I do find it funny that that was the lowest views of last week, 3 of 3 for the Chris Jericho clout chasing episode, which just once again goes to show that AEW and Chris Jericho are quite irrelevant, even in the middle of some controversy, which no more than 800,000 people give a shit about. So that was last episode. Today's episode, as I mentioned, is Mutahar. He and Carl Jobs did some great work on their exposing of the completionist and his shady accounting for his charity. That's the word that I couldn't find. Boy, one of these days I'll be a good broadcaster. Until then, thanks for giving me a chance, folks. But go ahead and take it away, Mutahar. Oh, yes, I should say he is talking about the Epstein files today. So thanks for doing that research for me, Mutahar. Now you may take it away.
A lot of people were...
Oh, I got him drunk. I apologize. I was having fun with drunk Mutahar before we went on air. Let's get him not drunk.
hoping for some salacious, juicy information. And in reality, I don't really think a lot of that exists. There's also been a crap ton of misinformation that's been floating around. Some of it is pretty cringy. Some of it is pretty hilarious. But I'm here to get down to the facts of the matter and actually look through these documents. Now, Epstein was arrested in July 6, 2019 on federal charges of effectively human and sex trafficking. So pretty serious allegations, pretty serious convictions. And he had died in August 10, 2019 in his jail cell at, from what I understand, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, which from what I understand too, is pretty much close to as a administrative detention facility, like almost a supermax, so to speak. Maybe it might.
Shocker. A pimp to the stars was put in basically like a house arrest situation. The closest thing to being in house arrest without being house arrest. Shocking.
Might even be like a supermax, the same actual federal penitentiary that El Chapo was held at. And I think
El Chapo. I've got a friend who is part of the El Chapo family. And when he was a child, actually, he had teddy bears that would be given to him in Mexico and disappear One day he did find the teddy bear torn to shreds in the trash and didn't understand. Later, he got it.
I think he still is held at he was actually sent over to ADX Florence, which is the actual Colorado, like Alcatraz of the Rockies. Okay, once you're sent there, you ain't ever getting out. So point is, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, and there was an island that he primarily resided at. The island was
It was Napoleon's island. He and Napoleon had a circle jerk. I suppose that doesn't work. Napoleon died hundreds of years ago.
known as Little St. James, right? A part of a small private island within the United States Virgin Islands territory. You might have seen this island digitally represented by one of your favorite streamers who was flying to it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Truly goofy times indeed.
A tour of Epstein Island via a flight simulator Minecraft type of game. Annie, maybe we can check this out. We could go to Epstein Island virtually on a upcoming What Is This Game? A little plug for that. Coming up next Wednesday the 17th, we're playing Batman Arkham Asylum. God, I love that game. Luckily, that one didn't get fucked up on the Switch port. Only Arkham Knight did.
Indeed. And it wasn't just your favorite streamer. An entire LAN party was chilling out here parking their planes. This island is referred to as the Island of Sin.
Of course, we have got just a parking lot full of planes on Epstein Island virtually.
By local individuals, okay? This is not a great place to be at. Not a lot of good things happened here, as you can imagine, with a nickname of that caliber. Now, last night, a lot of documentation was released, about over 900 pages of information in regards to, Epstein and Maxwell's case was basically unsealed by the United States government. Now, according to this documentation, there was actually a deposition where questions were asked and questions were answered. One of them was posted by an account known as Censored Men, who said Epstein files released. Hawking allegedly liked watching.
Hawking. That is really funny that Stephen Hawking, even in a wheelchair and unable to talk, was still a creep. That is epic proportions of creepism. Could he even feel his penis?
Known as Censored Men, who said Epstein files released. Hawking allegedly liked watching undressed, I guess small people, can't use that word anymore on YouTube. People of diminutive stature solve
And that is actually what I have been kicking myself for. Just saying words once, get these videos demonetized. Once I do meet the minimums, it's probably going to be just a death field of unmonetizable videos because jokes aren't jokes anymore. Nope, let's not go down that road. I was about to go down a road of people unnecessarily attempting to start drama. Let's stay on the real drama for today.
Complex equations on a too high up chalkboard, okay? So inside the question is like, hold on one sec. Are you telling me that Stephen Hawking frequented the island for pleasure? Yeah, Jeffrey loved to have intellectuals visit the island so he could reward them for their hard work for humanity and for other darker reasons. Now, obviously, that is, nobody talks like that.
Epic proportions of creepdom. I need to hear more of Stephen Hawking being Stephen Hawking being just a complete fucking creepo, despite the fact that he can't feel his penis. I wonder if it's like Freddy Got Fingered with the crippled girl who wanted Tom Green to smack her ankles with a kendo stick. Maybe he wants his penis just injected and just give me the lady with the longest, sharpest nails so she can stick them into my pecker.
But the question says, did Jeffrey ever talk to you about the proclivities? Yeah, he liked watching me solve complex equations on a too high up chalkboard. Now, obviously, people who read this laughed their
That's a funny kink. That's a funny kink. He liked to see sexy ladies trying to do complex equations, and the fact that they had to struggle to reach them, that being his kink, really? Stupid sweat scene, really? But that being his kink of them struggling to stand to solve these equations, both having physical and mental maladies to overcome. What a kink. That makes sense.
Their ass off. But in reality, this wasn't real, okay? If you actually go to the documents right now, which again is something that I really implore people do, which is one of the reasons why this video is a bit important to me. If you actually type in any of these words, you won't notice them actually reflected at all in these documents. And that's just a thing. You can, however, find
those words aren't reflected in those documents. Those words are vampires.
actual mentions of Stephen Hawking. So there is one mention where Jeffrey Epstein sends an email from a Gmail account, which, by the way, was news to me, why these people would actually discuss their potentially criminal situations using Gmail when they could have set up their own private email server they clearly had the money to is beyond me. Maybe there is a silver lining. So he sends this email to Gmax.
Ballsy. Just, I'm rich and powerful. What are they gonna fucking do? Why do I need to be on a private server?
Which is Ghislaine Maxwell. You can issue a reward to any of
audacity. That seems to be the word of the year. A lot of people seem to be using audacity lately, much more than they were.
Virginia's friend's equeance family that came forward and helped prove her allegations are false. So here he's setting up a bounty or a reward almost that, hey, listen, if somebody can help disprove these allegations, please come over. The strongest is the Clinton dinner. And the new version in the Virgin is...
Like, was anybody shocked by that? Anyone who was shocked by Bill Clinton being one of the top creeps revealed from the Epstein files, you haven't been paying attention. You've been drinking the Kool-Aid too much. Put it down before they spike that Kool-Aid with the thing that'll make you go to sleep forever and ever.
Is the lands that Stephen Hawking participated in an orgy involving underage individuals. So again, this is the only actual mention.
Usually you have to go to Thailand for that.
In this 900 plus page document, not 900 plus page document, 900 pages of documents. See, there were so many documents that were released that even the court website that was originally showcasing these actually ended up crashing. Courtlistener.com isn't even functioning. You can obtain these documents through the US government. They are just floating around freely to access. So the information is out there. You just have to sit through and parse through the misinformation. Now,
and there is a lot of that. All the different real and fake lists of who visited that island, boy, they popped up really quick, which is why I chose to have someone help me out here. Stupid mirroring or non-mirroring in doing research for me to help me know which one of those big-ass long lists of names are the real ones.
One of the things that I wanted to also tackle before we continued was this idea of a client list. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the longest time, for the last couple years that this situation, the few years that we've been talking about this, there's been a lot of discussion.
Rambo, what do you think of this underage orgy?
They drew first blood, not me. They drew first blood.
Yes, even before these girls had first blood, they were forcing that first blood with their massive cocks.
Question of a potential list of clients, a list of high-level clients that have been partaking in illegal activities. Now, that list, from all of my examinations of all these documents, doesn't actually exist. There is no real list. There are mentions of names, like we just looked at Stephen Hawking. That was a named mention. One mention, and
we have to delve more into these specific kinks of these very rich people. Clinton, I bet you he likes to recreate how he got caught getting a blowy in the Oval Office while talking to world leaders. I mean, that would still get my dick hard. Remember that time when I was talking to the leader of Australia and she put her finger in my butt and I wasn't expecting it? Boy, she sure is an adventurous little lady. What a massive amount of cunts we were as a country. Damn it, I said that word again. Demonetized. To choose the side of the president for the little floozy. What a little floozy. Let's shame her.
That's about all you're going to get. There's no magical list. See, the list, I actually tried to look at the origin of this, and one of the origins that I found was through a publication known as the motherjones.com, where this person talked about looking through a unredacted version of Jeffrey Epstein's Little Black Book, which I guess is the closest thing to
a little black book? Were there multiple volumes? Otherwise, I think we have to call this a big-ass black book. Big-ass? Clinton also a fan.
List you're going to get. This black book is an address book. So you can see right over here where he talks about it. The public first became aware of the book in 2015, which a now defunct website, Gawker, published a
Hulk Hogan dropped the leg on Gawker. That's a fact. They released the Hulk Hogan sex tape over at Gawker, and then a homosexual man who Gawker outed helped fund Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker, and all the money that Hogan lost in that silly divorce with that silly wife, he got back thanks to dropping the leg on Gawker and suing them for dropping that sex tape, where he let it be known he's not a big fan of his daughter dating outside the race.
A version of Rodriguez's copy. Rodriguez was the butler on Epstein's private island, revealing for the first time just how ludicrously connected Epstein was to the people who run the world. So again, this file, this unredacted version, popped up on some dark corners of the internet, with almost every phone number, email, home address.
4chan. The darkest corner of the internet. 4chan.
It's entirely visible, and I got my hands on a copy. Now, I don't know where this person got it from. Maybe it's like on the dark web. Maybe somewhere it exists. But this is, again, the extent of the source that we're getting. Now, I actually went to Gawker in this situation, and while the website is down, you can use the Wayback Machine to pull up an actual article from October 30th, 2023, where they actually talk about that specific black book. They have some screenshots of it and everything. And
speaking of Tampa Terry, Spurg Snake, the it's conflicting stories. If Hogan was like, "Hey brother, hey Bubba, let me fuck your wife," or if Bubba the Love Sponge and his wife were like, "Come on, Hogan, we want you to swing." It was probably both ways. I don't know who initially said, because Hogan was at his lowest at that point when he fucked Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, and Bubba filmed it without Hogan's knowledge, and then one of his staff members stole it and sold it to Gawker. Spice Boy. Is Spice Boy still in jail? Anyways, I think that was a little bit of both. Whoever put that out there initially, Bubba's dick got hard thinking of WWF champion Hulk Hogan dropping the dong on his wife. That was Spurg Snake thinks that Bubba set him up, and I think whoever introduced it first, Hogan was at his lowest. He was ready to get his dick wet. Heather was hot with her big old fake titties. And Bubba probably introduced that. If you're going to swing, why not with one of the most popular wrestlers in history? And I was surprised by Hogan's thermos cock in that, because looking at his wiener through those tights that we saw for years and years, I would have guessed not a thermos.
And Gawker published it for full for the first time here, where they redacted addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses, and last names of individuals who could have been, under the age of 18. So I looked through this entire list, and yes, it does contain some really powerful individuals, which shows that, yes, this billionaire, trafficker, billionaire, financier obviously had some pretty powerful connections from what it appears in his address book, his little black book, so to speak. Now,
I heard that Lily Tomlin was on that list. Lily Tomlin, do you care to comment?
Leave me the fuck alone.
No, she would not like to comment.
List isn't indicative of people in this list committing actual crimes, okay? To understand, these are highly wealthy, highly powerful individuals. And this is a small group of people where everyone pretty much knows everyone in the situation. For instance,
where everybody knows your dick size, and they're always ready to take it. Got to workshop that. Something's there.
If you found somebody like, I don't know, Elon Musk in this book, which I didn't find or anything, that isn't indicative that Elon was doing bad things. That just shows you that a billionaire knows another billionaire. There's not a whole lot of billionaires in the world, and there's a pretty healthy chance that powerful individuals know the names of other, similarly powerful individuals.
And they want to have a dick measuring contest. They always do, sometimes figuratively.
Same thing.
That happened with Vince McMahon and Donald Trump. There's a story of Trump's private plane being bigger, and him calling over at the airport tarmac, mine's bigger, and flipping Vince McMahon the fuck out, because got to measure that dick on all types of accounts.
Same thing with people like Donald Trump, or Biden, or really anybody, or Obama, or any individual that is listed. People like Bill Gates, maybe like Tim Cook. A lot of these powerful people know other powerful people, but this is the only list that I could find. And again,
Powerful people know powerful people. Hulk Hogan knew Randy Savage. That's why they created the Mega Powers.
and while he possesses powerful names, every single one of these names doesn't exactly amount to much unless you have really, you know what I mean? Like, unless you have evidence that can convict them of serious crimes. Now, in my notes, I have a few names.
What about XM crimes? Aren't XM crimes just the other half of serious crimes? I guess not. I must be mistaken.
That are mentioned in these documents. Okay. One of them is obviously Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton exactly here is mentioned 1 out of 26 times in the exact Control F. Again, if you want to look up specific names, Control F exists. I know people have been asking for people like Bill Gates. Bill Gates shows up 0 out of 0 times. Now, Bill Clinton was mentioned.
Who's mentioned more than Clinton? That's what I want to know. There may not be anyone mentioned more than Clinton. He may be the top pervert
In this, and one of the most damning mentions was when they were looking at depositions taken thus far by Miss Giuffre. Okay, so you got Ghislaine Maxwell, who was deposed for 7 hours. But of course, if we scroll down over here, you can see in one of the depositions by Joanna Schoberg, one of the victims here, she actually states that Joanna testified Jeffrey told her Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. And this deposition, if you're looking over here, page 41, if we scroll all the
He just looks at that wife he's got for political reasons. His dick shrivels, and he can't just go to Thailand. It's not like that one John from John and John who can take off to Thailand once a year and not be noticed until he goes too often to be to get people to say, "Hey, what the fuck, John of John and John? Are you two guys who like underage sex?" Bill Clinton couldn't do that. He could not go to Thailand to get those ladies like John of John and John.
All the way to the top, this deposition again, just to show you, because a lot of people have been taking screenshots of this, but they haven't exactly shown the full context of what these exact statements are coming from. So this is a deposition by Virginia Joffrey, the plaintiff, against, Ghislaine Maxwell. So confidential, the deposition of Joanna.
We'll see if Jerry Sags makes this list. Well, salty. Possibly so.
Pursuant to notice taken by plaintiff at the offices of so on and so forth. So this is a deposition. This is somebody, of course, giving their recorded statement. It's not exactly a statement of fact, nor is it an actual record of fact, nor is it actually evidence pertaining to any of these people. But of course, going down over here, ladies and gentlemen, was Bill Clinton a friend
Going down over here, Mutahar, wording
of Jeffrey Epstein? So of course, Miss Menninger writes, objection, foundation. Let me back it up. Do you know if Bill Clinton was a friend of Jeffrey? I knew he had dealings with Bill. I did not know they were friends until I read the Vanity Fair article about them going to Africa together. Did Jeffrey ever talk to you about Bill? He said one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. So that's literally the extent of that exact point. So this is, again, Jeffrey talking about his boy like that, okay? Not exactly good to hear, but this isn't exactly evidence of anything. This is just, again, a deposition. So
the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. That Boondocks episode will never leave my head, of Samuel L. Jackson doing the voice for the white privileged dude. And I believe we are about halfway here. I do need to cut this episode a little short today, about 45 minutes rather than 30 minutes. So a quick little shill segment where I ask you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I think I will be changing time coming up soon. Got a job interview, so possibly moving around, and it may not be 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell, well, the last couple anyways, it'll let you know the new time when I will start going live. And it seems like there was something else. What is this game with Annie on the 17th? With Batman Arkham Asylum and Discord. The voice chat is now open. The people who were being a problem have gone. They let themselves out the door rather than me having to kick them. So Discord voice chat now open. Obviously, since I said I'll be leaving early, I will not be in the voice chat after the show today. And yeah, very much looking forward to talking about the Batman. Why am I stumbling over Batman? The Batman. That's the newest one, the very emo Batman. But Batman Arkham Asylum coming up on the 17th on What Is This Game? And now, back to the show.
So the reason I'm saying this is because some people are
Oh, yes. Comment after the video is done. That does help. The people on the Charlotte Dubray episode who just saw it and were like, how dare you use her name and likeness? Well, how else do I describe a video where I am doing a reaction review audition for her if I don't do it? But those people who hated the episode and let me know about it, thank you. Any comment helps the algorithm.
people are throwing it around like this is possible fact, when again, you are reading an entire transcript from a recorded deposition. Whether that's true or not is for investigators and a court to properly decide. But again, this is a pretty dirty mention, and at least from the outside looking in, not good. Now, throughout this deposition, there have been other named mentions in this situation too, and I want to address those.
Naomi Campbell, no. Al Gore, no. Someone was really fishing for names.
Real quickly. For instance, people like Al Gore were mentioned. So again, page 109 out of this deposition, where they actually start talking about, do you remember meeting Prime Minister Ehud Barak from Israel? No. Do you recall meeting any prime minister? No.
What is it with Baraks?
Any foreign president? No. Nobel Prize winners? Not to my knowledge. Naomi Campbell? No. Al Gore? No. Alan Dershowitz? No.
Oh, this is just this one person. Doesn't mean that they weren't there. That's just this one person in this deposition. Spacey? Oh, of course you got to ask about that creepo.
Lex Wexner? No. Tom Pritzker? No. Kevin Spacey? I may have already asked you, but have you met Kevin Spacey? No. So
in this deposition, they were really railing on, come on, Spacey, give me some Spacey dirt. We know it's there. Help me uncover it.
In this entire list, obviously these are named mentions, but when you get the
Lily Tomlin, I actually could have gone to once again to help out with those.
No! God damn it! You fucked it up! God damn you!
Actually, I guess I would have needed to isolate just that no in order to for her to have been that no response there.
Get the full context of this deposition, these names don't really amount to much. They were asked, they were shotgunned out, they were pretty much rapid fired, and the plaintiff in this situation was like, no, I didn't.
What was it like again? Christian Bale, what was that reaction, that response they had?
No! Don't shut me up!
I've got two no's, but they aren't isolated. I'll have to make an isolated no compilation.
Didn't meet anybody in this. So when they start talking more about other people like Marvin Minsky, I don't know that. George Lucas, no. Donald Trump, no. Did you ever massage Donald Trump? No. Sorry, I have to ask you, did you ever have, relations with another individual like Alan Dershowitz, for instance?
No.
Objection, absolutely not. The witness writes.
No!
Do you know who that person is? I do. So again, looking through this deposition, names were mentioned, but obviously in the deposition, they were kind of rapid firing these names, and a lot of them weren't exactly, and a lot of them were just unidentified.
What about that director of I Heart Huckabees? He was an absolute menace on set. Lily Tomlin, that freak out that she had, that was from I Heart Huckabees. Oh, actually, I think I still have the number of someone who was a producer on there. I have to ask. I love that Lily Tomlin. No, she's been around for quite some time, and just love those celebrity rants. I've got to get back out on the comedy scene with those celebrity rants once again. Christian Bale and Lily Tomlin, my two favorite of the celebrity rants, and it was indeed due to the fact that they were on set with Lily Tomlin's case, a monster, in the case of Christian Bale, someone who wasn't good at their job, and they are just two very passionate individuals. Ooh, look at that screenshot of Mutahar. I've got you looking very, very high, looking up at the moment.
Identified people. They were like, I never met them. That's not true. So that's pretty much what we're kind of getting at with this depo. And again, there is hundreds of pages for you to actually look through and, sort of read this for yourself too. Don't take my word for it. That's just how it is. So if you want to read through all of this, you want to read.
But you are my solid jumping off point.
Through these depositions, everything regarding this specific case, it's all unsealed and it's all available for you to read. Now, to understand, obviously, for people like Clinton, obviously, I think Billy C was a weird guy. I think we all know Bill Clinton was a weird guy.
Pervert.
Again, there's nothing, accusatory that you can put onto him that already.
I have a prediction of how we will see Clinton in the obituaries. Let's go to Futurama for that prediction.
Computer sentences them to death by Snoo Snoo.
Yeah!
Death by Snoo Snoo. I will put my money on Death by Snoo Snoo.
Already hasn't been talked about in the hearsay, but it's interesting that Hillary Clinton, she's like, throwback to New Year's Eve 1999. Bro, she kept that on the locked replies. Sis, have you heard? I think she has. That's why they're locked. But to understand, people.
Hillary's known. It has been a marriage of convenience for quite a while. Very much like Vince McMahon. When you hear him talk about Linda McMahon, my wife at the time, they never got a divorce, but they haven't been together for quite some time. My wife at the time. These two are not married for any other reason than political reasons at this point, and probably to begin with.
People who are talking about like Bill Clinton being creepy, that doesn't shock me whatsoever. The other thing I wanted to look at was the connection of some of these individuals to the Epstein flight logs. For those of you who don't know, there have been flight logs that are released in the case regarding USA versus Maxwell.
One of my buddies was keeping track of the flight logs after Epstein took his life. And it was still very active, his plane. Those records are kept, and you could look those up. And he was really checking that out, that the plane never really took a rest. It kept on moving.
Now, going back to Stephen Hawking, even as one mention, which is the email, transaction between Jeffrey and Ghislaine, they never actually double on proving any of these actual accusations. But going to Stephen Hawking, for instance, he was pictured on Jeffrey Epstein's Island of Sin, which, again, this is...
Whoa. Don't move that picture too fast.
Hawking, for instance, he was pictured on Jeffrey Epstein's Island of...
oh, boy. Those are the eyes of someone who is not there by choice.
Sin. With...
so I guess we've got two of the ladies who would do equations. And nice, you've got one who is petite and one who is thick, because you want several types of ladies doing your pervy type of kink. I only kink shame you because it wasn't exactly their will to be there.
Which, again, this is apparently captured in 2006, March of 2006, as reported on by The Telegraph. Now, I actually have an entire log sheet that was released as part of USA versus Maxwell.
I dropped my log sheet in the toilet.
That goes all the way from November 2005, dating all the way back to, again, April 1991. And obviously, because of the date that Stephen Hawking was pictured, he's not going to show up on any of these logs. But these logs are interesting to look at irregardless. Now, to give you full context, just because you fly in and out of the island...
Regardless? I'm going to have to ask Merriam-Webster there. Then again... who am I? I have many verbal foibles. Mutahar has been talking very well on here, better than I have with some of my stutters and sputters and ahs.
The island is not indicative of you committing illegal activities. I know that there's probably people who are saying, but what else could they have went there for? To understand, it could have been anything. It could have been a meeting. It could have been something nefarious. It could have been something positive. It could have been anything. Again, I'm speaking to you as if this was going to a court, right? Just because your name shows up on a flight log doesn't necessarily mean that you did anything wrong. But to give you an idea, reading...
I try not to log on flights. I did throw up on a flight once because I drank too much on my way to the airport. So I'm gonna do those flights from sober from now on. No more Richard Christieing for me and downing beers and getting on the flight after I was one of those people using those bags.
Getting through some of this log, it was a little bit difficult for me to understand, and I'll explain why. So there's a couple mentions at times of Jeffrey, for instance, so we know who that is. Jeffrey plus Mark, so somebody who's related to him. And sometimes they refer to, an individual as two females or one female. And this is really odd to me because sometimes they have names and sometimes they just put like one.
Sounds like Blazing Saddles talking about the rail workers. Two females. We don't want to waste one of our hand carts. We don't want to waste one of the horses. sent 2 women.
Or 2 females into it. And I'm wondering if there's a reason to do that. Maybe it's to conceal names. Again, this isn't like a government like audited sheet. It's just literally a private logbook, and you could put anything in there. You could write Santa Claus if you wanted to. But that's just a remark, procedure, maneuver, and endorsement.
Well, Santa Claus, we know, actually, we heard of someone earlier with the fetish of little people. You just know that's Santa Claus's fetish. Well, actually, those little people that are working slave labor at Santa's factory, Santa's workshop up there, they're not just little people. They're ancient little people who look like young children. So, looking at you cross-eyed, Mr. Claus, with what you're doing with your kinks.
Endorsements of, anything on that flight or anything of specific note. Of course, then it gets to a point where they start abbreviating names. So you see JE, GM, ET, female, and again, it's just abbreviations. So without a sort of index to tell you what those abbreviations are, you can make an educated guess. Like JE, probably Jeffrey Epstein. GM, probably Ghislaine Maxwell. VR, who knows who that is, right? Again, you can make it.
Vince Russo? No, he's actually a prude. He played out all his sexual fantasies on wrestling television, but he himself is a prude and found God, but is still a shithead.
A educated guess, but it's not exactly a statement of fact that you can necessarily make. And again, if you look through more and more of this list too, you can probably find more key names. For instance, Donald Trump actually showed up a couple times in this.
Key names for key parties. Actually, I guess the key parties got boring. That's why they came to Epstein Island.
Now, one thing I want to just correct here too in post-editing as I'm doing this is looking into the from and to sections, specifically for these 2 Donald Trump flights where he's been specifically fingered. You can see in the from section.
Are you sure he was specifically fingered? I think it was the other way around.
Section it says TEB, according to how I understand the handwriting, and then the to section is PBI. So 2 dates from TEB to PBI and then back. So TEB appears to be the airport code of Teterboro Airport, and PBI is Palm Beach International. Now, I'm not a multi-billionaire, so I don't know.
Pabst Blue International Airport.
How often flights are.
Sounds like a shitty airport to me.
Are constantly shared. I don't know how much flight air pooling goes on, but it just shows that these 2 were in a plane together. Again, there's 100 pages of this documentation, and if you want to comb through every single entry, exit, date, flight, who was on it, it's for your viewing pleasure.
So
I already combed the desert, and I ain't found shit.
Page 18 of the deposition again, you can see that a question was asked. Do you recall where you flew to when you traveled the first time with Jeffrey? We left for Palm Beach and landed in Atlantic City for a few hours because there was a storm in New York. Then got back on a plane a few hours later and landed in Teterboro. And you said that you recall landing in Atlantic City. Did you go into Atlantic City? Yes.
Tittyboro.
We went to one of Trump's casinos. Did you actually go into the casino? Yes. Do you recall Virginia at the time, Virginia Roberts, being present with you? Yes. Do you recall if she went into the casino? She was underage. I did not know anything about how old you had to be to gamble legally. I just knew she could not get in because of an ID issue. So she and I did not gamble. So
I have been dropping a few Mel Brooks references, Spurg Snake, as I have been watching those films in preparation for Chatting with Beloved Chatters this Thursday with American Cupcake, where we break down Mel Brooks's top 9 and bottom 1 movies. But back to the pervy things with Mutahar.
So even, as far as Trump was mentioned in here, it was the casino, and that's pretty much all that one could get to. So powerful names were mentioned. People like Donald Trump, people like, Bill Clinton.
Max Power is a powerful name.
And of course, let's not forget people like Prince Andrew, for instance, where they literally refer to as Prince Andrew. Arguably, he's probably mentioned more times by his official title, Prince Andrew. I believe it's
73 times. All right. We have someone who blows the Clinton mentions out of the water. It is Prince Andrew is currently our top creep.
At some point, they actually do just use first last names. But he's mentioned arguably as much as Bill Clinton even in this list too. Again, these aren't names that anybody is shocked by. Everybody knew that these were kind of the names that were going to be pointed fingers at. But it was great to actually sit down and review hundreds of documentation that pretty much just already proved what the world already knew anyways. So again, all of this information is floating around freely to access. You can right now read these all for yourself. And there is a lot of context that can be added. There's a lot of things that can be learned about this case if you're truly interested. But for me, I wanted to look at, again, what appear to be the largest bombshells and also clear up misinformation and also provide more context and understanding of what people were reading, at least as much as I logically could. Look, at the end of the day, this case interests me because people have also turned it into a sort of left versus right or team sports on the internet. Look, at the end of the day,
of course they were. We had each of the political parties, come on, Trump, come on, Clinton. And yeah, personally, I had a lot of money rolling on each of them to be mentioned a lot. One of them mentioned a lot. One of them mentioned only a couple of times. So I guess that it is a push for me on that bet I was attempting to make.
Day, I don't look at people as powerful as Bill Clinton or Donald Trump as different individuals. I look at all of them as the same. I look at people like Prince Andrew, people like Bill Gates, people like all these as rich and powerful individuals. And obviously, they are all connected in some way with each other. Now, does that mean just because they have a connection?
Docking? Were they all connected by docking? Or is it like a big, long Lucky Pierre line? Because personally, if I'm in a Lucky Pierre line, I would like a lady on this end and either a strapped lady or a trans lady on this end. I will not participate if there is a guy directly behind me. I'm sorry. That's just my views on the Lucky Pierre conga line.
That there is some illegal cabal or some illegal operations or some illegal shit going on just because they met? Obviously not. There is not enough evidence to conclude that. Obviously, rich and powerful people know each other. And for a lot of people who didn't want their names out here, you know, the fact that just their name attributed to a Google search of Jeffrey Epstein is already bad enough for them. This is
being connected in any way hurts. But who did I talk about earlier? Stephen Hawking. He is dead. So unfortunately, we can't tease him about his doing equations too far up for ladies to reach kink. Because that would be fun to tease a man in a wheelchair about his kinks.
One thing that really...
We're going to have to settle on Quadfather.
Really didn't shed any light to me. Personally speaking, it didn't really like give any bombshell evidence towards somebody. Nobody appears to be going to prison because of these unsealed documents, okay? These documents were unsealed, I assume, finally because the investigation...
I saw that document too, Kinky Loco, seeing Joey C. and John Melendez on the Epstein flight logs. I do need to do a little more research before I say he was on there. I have to go with your, I heard that Joey C. was on there. I saw it. I'm going to have to double check to make sure that that is not a Photoshop and a joke, because how the heck does a mentally inept drug addict get on Epstein Island? I mean, he was doing the Bildo Treve of standing outside a women's prison on release day with flowers to get his wife. So if he did make it to the island, that's a big step up.
Amongst other people
absolutely.
Is probably
Allegedly
progressing at a rate where they can just reveal more information. Usually information is sealed from my understanding so that it doesn't conflict with actual, actual investigations by government agencies. So I don't know, especially in a case where some of the most powerful people with access to some of the best lawyers, some of the best ways to conceal information exist. Again,
some of the best ways to fake a suicide, all types of best ways that you have at your fingertips when you're the most powerful people on the planet.
This is a situation where big names were dropped.
They didn't even use the magic bullet. And when Obama got into office, or looked like he was getting into office, and he was talking about all this change, that was the big saying. That was what we're going to change. We're going to do something different. They brought him into a room. They're like, all right, look here, change boy. And they definitely used a heavy boy, because that's the type of people they were. You're going to have the most company man of company men by your side to make sure that you don't do anything changing beyond painting the walls. No putting up a new wall. No breaking down an old wall. And check this out. Magic bullet. We haven't used it since the 1960s. You do what we want you to do, and we won't have to break out this magic bullet.
Actual, real criminal evidence dropped along with it, other than, again, mentions and understandings we already knew for years. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Epstein documents are out. Not much to really go over. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
Any type of interaction helps. Thanks for stopping in, Corey Adam. That was the end of the audition portion of this episode. I think it went pretty well. The last two episodes, this one and Charlotte Dubray, felt like solid auditions, hoping to get a callback because both Mutahar from SomeOrdinaryGamers and Charlotte Dubray have quite a following. Please, sir, may I have some views? So on to the next segment of the show, where we check out a TikTok of some related content. And I was talking about the fish broadcaster last time. We had Kent Brockman on the show giving a news report, and this is one of two fish reporters from SpongeBob that I follow over here on the TikTok, over here, over there, over somewhere on TikTok. This fish reporter has some important news about jet fuel, about airplane fuel. So as you see, kind of related. I try to get these TikTok segments kind of related. So this plane news is kind of related to what we were talking about.
Breaking news! A new aviation company has developed a type of jet fuel made entirely from human dookie. To turn human waste into a usable fuel, Firefly uses a method called hydrothermal liquefaction, which is...
Since we are making this planet more unlivable for other organisms, we are going to need to replace the dung beetle. And this is an absolute genius way to replace the dung beetle and stop using as much fuel as we are currently by just taking a shit. You are helping society.
Which is good for wet waste. By combining high pressure and heat, it converts the sewage into carbon-rich biochar and crude oil. Firefly's team worked with Cranfield University to examine the fuel's impact on the environment and concluded that Firefly's fuel has a 90% lower carbon footprint than standard jet fuel. Firefly is looking to scale up production in the coming years.
Shit fuel is better for the environment than oil fuel. That fuel. Sound like Dr. Steve, don't I there? Fluids. Fuel. So that was that portion. And now on to what we always do to take us out. We have Lady Clowns. And this Lady Clown, Lay Puppets, actually I believe it's pronounced Lee Puppets. A few quick ones from Lee Puppets to end the episode.
Someone just called me a weirdo. Fucking, yeah.
Very much describes me. I think I might have to earmark this. I'm going to include that in a compilation coming up, I believe. That's a good one. Fucking yeah. Duh. I know.
If bigger shoes mean bigger pee-pee and a bigger car means a small pee-pee, then I think I just figured out why everyone's terrified of clowns.
Do not cock off with a clown. Clowns... Small car, big shoes, giant wang. Maybe that's why I have a mid-sized everything. Fuck yeah, Chippa. Actually, it's too soon to bring Chip Chipperson back in here. As I've mentioned, that turned into a crutch doing Jim Norton characters a bit too much on this show. And I didn't need to go down that Chipper road, but goddamn, is Chip Chipperson an addicting impression to do.
One thing you should know about me is that I am never okay. I am simply existing because I guess we have to. But I look pretty while doing it.
A solid way to get through life when it is getting it down. So that was our episode for today. We did have a few clowns. We had a few laughs at rich and powerful perverts. And I do have to wander off here a bit sooner than later. Spurgsnake, I did do one episode on Wang so far, and I think I had a bunch of cum and shit videos all lined up. And after the first one, I was like, I need a reprieve. I need a reprieve from the most disgusting of Wang material. I need to go to something that is just a little gross and not gross. So when I return to Wang, I will keep that in mind. Having a gross one, maybe a gross one second, lead in to the grossness, because oh boy, I was like, I could do this. I've got a strong stomach, not strong enough for all that cum. I had to pump it out before getting too much cum and shit. Yeah, Wang, internet man, is absolutely. There's a man on the internet, absolutely a fun, and actually, Wang had a funny quote recently on Twitter online with all the drama going around. He was like, you know what? I'm glad that I only report on shit and cum, weighing in on the completionist drama. He's not getting near that, as I'm trying not to get near drama as it sticks its head around the corner. We're making stupid videos on the internet. There's absolutely no reason for drama or to take my jokes as something serious. We do jabs here on the From Somewhere channel. I almost said network. Channel. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining. Tomorrow we will TikTok around the clock. Thursday, top 9 and bottom 1 Mel Brooks movies on Chatting with Beloved Chatters with guest American Cupcake. And I believe next up will be Phil Elmore on co-host auditions. I had him in the queue. I was like, I'll get to him at some point, but he quit the internet. He got very upset. He's one of those people who can dish it out, but not take it. And just a little bit of goofing on him, people found what really poked at him. He let the internet know, the Dabbleverse know, these pokings really piss me off. And that's not what you do, Mr. Elmore. So I believe he will be coming up on the next episode next week. If it changes, I change my mind. But definitely going to hit up Phil Elmore. And yeah, be sure to check out the top 9 and bottom 1 movies of Mel Brooks as 2 super fans, myself and American Cupcake, ramble on how much we love Mel Brooks movies and how bafflingly bad his bottom 1 movie actually is. That is all for today. Thank you all so much for joining. Now feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LS, MFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right to left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LS, MFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.